Hi, I'm Richard Maraj, Senior Minister at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center, and I want to thank you for visiting our website and for tuning in to today's message. If you feel inspired by today's talk, I really encourage you to make a donation by hitting that button below and making a contribution to this ministry. It'll allow us to continue these messages online and to do the great work we do here at Unity of Phoenix, which is to inspire people to live better lives. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for your support, and we hope to see you at a Sunday real soon.
Morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So how many people would say as good and as wonderful as your life is, that you would still like to experience a greater level of fulfillment, meaning, and an enriching life? How many people would agree with that? And how many people would agree that sometimes you don't quite understand how life works, and you'd like to understand better to live a better life? Anybody? And finally, how many people would say that whatever our age you might be, that you still aren't exactly quite clear why you're here and what your purpose is? Anybody? Okay. So let me tell you a true story that might shed some light on the understanding of life. So when God created the dog, God said, "Dog, your job will be to sit all day at the front of your house and bark at anyone who comes in and anyone who walks past. And for this, I will give you a lifespan of 20 years. And the dog said, "Wow, that's a lot of barking. 10 years is enough for me. How about if I do 10 years and give you back 10 years, God?" God said, "Okay." And then God created the monkey and said to the monkey, "Your job will be to entertain people, do funny tricks, be silly, and make people laugh. And for this, I will give you a lifespan of 20 years. And the monkey thought, and he said, "Wow, 20 years of monkey tricks and being silly? That's a lot of performing, God. How about if I do 10 years of that and I give you 10 years back?" God says, "Okay." Then God created the cow and said, "Your job will be to go into the fields with a farmer and work all day. And you'll suffer in the sun to work and provide. You'll have calves and you will give milk to support the farmer's family. And for this, I will give you a lifespan of 60 years. And the cow says, "That's a tough life. 60 years? How about if I just do 20 and give you back 40? And God says, "Okay." And then God created man and said that your job will be to eat and to sleep and to play, to have fun, to get married, and just enjoy your life. And for this, I'll give you 20 years. And man says, "Only 20 years? That's all I get is 20 years? How about this, God? If I get the 20 years that you promised me, then I also get the 40 years that the cow gave back, the 10 years that the monkey gave back, and the 10 years that the dog gave back, so I get 80 years. And God said, "Okay, but if that's what you want, you got it." So that is why for the first 20 years of our lives, we eat, sleep, play, marry, and enjoy ourselves. For the next 40 years, we work hard out in the field to support our family. For the next 10 years, we do monkey tricks and be silly to entertain our grandchildren. And for the last 10 years, we sit on the porch and bark at anybody who walks by. And so, So I think we have a little more understanding about how life really works. So the big question is, so why are we here? What is the meaning and purpose of life? I think Marianne Williamson, in that fabulous quote that she did called "Our Deepest Fear," gives us, I think, was one of the most clear and concise reasons that we're all here. And she says that we were born to make manifest the glory of God that is in each of us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in every one of us. That there's an amazing intelligence and brilliance and creativity and beauty that God has implanted in each of us, and it is our job to bring it forth. It is our job to express it fully. That the work we are here to do is the unfoldment of our souls for the full development and the full expression of the brilliance and the beauty and the greatness that God has placed in each and every one of us. Scripture tells us in so many ways that God has a plan for us to prosper, that we are here to live life and live it more abundantly. Jesus said, "We shall do the things that he has done and even greater things than these." He said, "You're the light of the world, and don't hide your light, but let it shine fully." Every one of us has unique gifts and talents. We're here to share fully with the world, but I think sometimes we hold back. How many people would agree that as much as success you've had, you haven't fully expressed the glory of God that is within you? And the question is why? Why is it that we hold back? What is it that's going on that prevents us from maybe loving or sharing our gifts or going after our dreams in the way that we are meant to? And how is it that we are meant to express the amazing beauty and magnificence of our spirit in this human experience and human form? You know, I've heard people say that life is a game, and if you want to play a game well, you're going to understand the rules and how it works. If you want to win or succeed or achieve, you've got to understand how things work. And about 20 years ago, I saw a Chicken Soup for the Soul book that's called The 10 Rules for Being Human. The 10 rules for understanding the game of life and how to master it and play it in a greater way. So what I thought we'd do is for the next 2 weeks, first we'll look at the 5 rules to start, and then Reverend Rogers next week will do the other 5 in how to be more successful in playing the game of life and having our spirits fully express the glory of God that is within us. And these rules sound really basic and so simple, but sometimes I think by not following some of the basic fundamentals, we really miss out a lot about the fullness of life because we skirt by some things that we should really take a little more seriously and apply more in our lives. So here's the first rule for life, and that is you will receive a body. You may like it or hate it, but it will be yours for the entire duration. So whether we love our bodies or not, you only get one. It is the only body you get, and that is one of the deals. And for some people who love their body and are comfortable in their body, that's a beautiful thing. But there are many folks that aren't comfortable in their bodies, who don't feel good about their physical body or some aspect of it and wish it was different. You know, wish that it was thinner, wish it was taller, more attractive, or whatever all the other things that we could do. Some of us think that we actually got the wrong body. You know, I mean, that we were in the line for body assignments and somehow something got, you know, babies were switched at birth. We're thinking of body. You know, I believe someone else got the body I was supposed to get, and I know who it is. His name is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Anybody know him? That's the body I believe I was supposed to have. And it's silly, but we do things like that. You know, if my eyes or my nose or my hips were just different, I'd be happier. You know, that's not the body I want. That's not the body I feel comfortable in or feel good about myself having. And these are the kind of ideas, and it sounds, you know, kind of silly. But the fact is, we let our relationship with how our body looks impacts how we feel about ourselves and what things we'll do or not do. Sometimes we say, yeah, I'd love to go to the beach, I'd love to go to the pool, but I don't look good in a bathing suit. We do all kinds of things. I'll do that one day when I can fit into that outfit. Sometimes we think it's silly, but the way we treat our body and relate to our body has a bigger impact than we realize. And it holds us back from living. It holds us back from being ourselves and living as authentically. Do you know the body is the very first gift that God has given us? Because it is the house of our spirit. It is the temple of God. It holds our divine nature and our amazing spirits. That is an incredible gift that God has given us, and it's a vital part, our bodies, of how we experience life, how we express life, how we see and smell and taste and touch and interact with this amazing experience called life. And our bodies are vital to our experience of spirituality and our emotions and our mental creativity. The body's more than just a vehicle. It is a temple, it is a teacher, it is a guide. And how we think and feel about our bodies really have an impact on the experience and the quality of our own lives. Cherie Carter Scott, who wrote a book that this came out of, called If Life is a Game, These Are the Rules, she shares about her struggle with her thighs. She said that she believed her thighs should be firm, tight, and not jiggle. And she said they weren't cooperating as well as she was hoping they would. And what happens is she began to disown and reject, dislike, judge, criticize, and even berate her thighs. Berate a part of this body temple that God has given us. And sometimes we do things like that. We put down parts of our body and ourselves and we reject it. And can you see how sometimes that would limit our ability to be as joyful and happy and fulfilled and limits us from expressing the fullness of the glory of God? The thing about your body, it is always with you. Wherever you go, there it is. And if you think about it, it is the first and most immediate relationship that we have. And the relationship we have with our body actually has some impact on all the other relationships that we have. I want you to think about your relationship with your body. And what kind of relationship is it? Is it a love-hate relationship? Is it a relationship that you tolerate? You know, are you not on speaking terms? I mean, sometimes, like with her, she was giving her thighs the cold shoulder. Ba-doom-ch. Okay, it's not that funny. But in all seriousness, our relationship with our body, how we treat our body, you know, how we care for our body, our attitudes of our body really has an impact on how we feel about ourselves and how we live our lives. And so here are the three things I think that our bodies are there to teach us. And first, they support us by just doing all the things our bodies do. But an important thing is to teach us acceptance. You know, so often we wish we had a body that was different than ours. That's like rejecting a gift from God. You know, we tell ourselves that we're not good enough, not pretty enough, not whatever enough. And so what we need to do is find a level of acceptance. You know what she did? She started rubbing vanilla-scented lotion on her thighs and blessing her thighs and thanking her thighs and appreciating what a big role they played in allowing her to walk and go hiking and do all the things that she loved to do. And at first, the level of acceptance was partial, but over time, it became complete acceptance. And so what part of your body are you not accepting? That are you not comfortable with? And another aspect of it is to love. You know, love is the greatest commandment, to love God and love others as ourselves. And we need to be able to love our own body. It is the temple of God. But look at the way we treat it sometimes. Sometimes we eat food we know that's not good for us. We don't get enough rest. We don't do exercise. I mean, is that the best way to treat the temple of God? And the two most important things of expressing love to our body is self-care, making sure we take care of our bodies in the best way, and also to listen to our body. There's intelligence in our bodies. It knows what it needs. It knows what's going on if we tune in and are loving enough to care about it and just listen. And then the final thing is our body actually shows us about how life is always about change, how to roll with changes and embrace, because from the time we are born to the time we die, the body is always changing, and so is life. But we don't like change. We resist change. There are things we don't like, and we always want to fight against the reality or stop it from happening. A part of getting old is that things sometimes move from their original starting position. And I find I have hair that no longer grows where I'd like it to grow and is growing in places I don't want it to grow. There are things about it, and that's just a part of life. I mentioned on Wednesday that I have a magnet on my fridge that says, life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. And the fact is, how our bodies are and its uniquenesses and things don't work as well is just a part of the deal, and life is still great. That we don't have to withhold love and approval and joy from and celebrating or appreciating our body because it isn't always perfect. So again, how can you treat your body, and what part of your body do you need to give some more love, some more care, some more tenderness, some more acceptance and appreciation about? Because I guarantee you, if you're to do that, you'll open up a new place and a new channel for feeling more alive, more fulfilled, and expressing the glory of God. Second point in the rules of being human are that you will learn lessons, that you are enrolled in a full-time informal school called life. Life is a school, and there are lessons in every area of our lives. There are relationship lessons, there are health lessons, there are work lessons, creativity lessons, spiritual lessons, emotional lessons. Life is always trying to teach us, to awaken us, to heal us, to expand us, and inspire us. And it all happens, the way life works is through lessons, through learning and expanding our awareness, our consciousness, and our experience of life. Look at Jesus' ministry. He was always teaching about how life worked. The kingdom of heaven is like the hidden treasure. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that grows. He said, give and you shall receive, forgive and you will be forgiven. He was always trying to teach lessons to expand people's consciousness into a fuller experience of life. Life is filled with lessons, but sometimes we don't want to learn. Or sometimes we don't recognize that there is a lesson. Some lessons come and they're joyful lessons, and some lessons come and they are painful. So one of the most important things we need to do is to look at our attitude, particularly towards the lessons that aren't always as comfortable. The lessons where we might bump up, the lessons where we might feel a little bit frustrated, and realize lessons in our lives don't come to mess it up. They don't come to stop our joy or block our peace or limit our good, that they actually come to lift us to a greater level of awareness and understanding. That's why Paul said, "Count it all joy, brethren, when you face trials of any kinds, because the testing of your faith will create perseverance, and it will help you get to a place where you know that you're whole, complete, and lacking in nothing." All the difficulties in our lives are there to bless us, to help us, to support us in fully expressing the glory of God. And that's why I say, count it all joy. It's good stuff. Don't run from it. Don't hate it, reject it, or complain about it. Count it all joy and utilize it to help you become a greater spiritual being. How many people have a challenge in your life that you're not quite counting all joy? Anybody have one of those? And so my question is, would you be able to adjust your attitude to realize that that's in your life to help you? That's in your life to make you better. That's in your life to heal you, to expand you, to awaken you to a fuller expression of who God brought you here to be. Third one is there are no mistakes, only lessons. Growth is a process of trial and error and experimentation. The failed experiments are as much a part of the process as the experiments that ultimately work. There are no mistakes. That whatever is facing you in your life is not an accident. It is actually yours. Called by your soul to help you grow and to expand and see life in a way that you aren't quite seeing it yet, to awaken you to some deeper truths. And so the thing we need to do, realizing that there are no mistakes, that whatever you're facing is exactly what you're meant to do. Whatever path that didn't seem to go the right way is exactly what you need for your soul's growth. So what we need to do is not compare our lessons to other people's lessons. You ever done that? I mean, I've done that. It's like, why did I get this deal? How come I didn't get that other deal? You know, why is it that some people have wonderful marriages and some people have gotten divorced a couple of times? Why is it that some people are more successful in their business and their financial life than others? We all have different experiences. They're not right, wrong, better, or worse. It's what's yours is the best thing for your soul's journey. And the more we look at other people's lives and wish ours was theirs, the more we take energy out of our own life of being joyful and learning what we are here to learn. That's why we can't live as fully, because we're spending too much time thinking about what other people are doing, what other people have got. And it literally holds back our good. So do not compare. There are no mistakes. So don't compare what you're going through with other people's. Just know that it is yours, and that's the thing you need to focus on. Whatever lesson it's there to teach. Another important thing is to realize failure is not failure, but it's a part of the journey towards success and the full unfoldment of who we are. You know, Michael Jordan wasn't born the best basketball player in the world. He actually learned. And he has a quote where he says, "Because I have failed, that's why I succeed." They said he was not a very good defensive player. He worked hard and learned to be, and became Defensive Player of the Year multiple times. He learned. He had a commitment to learning and getting better. Steve Jobs literally got fired from the very company that he started. You'd think that's a bit of a failure. Could have been a downer. You know what he did? He got even better, to the point later they asked him to come back to be the CEO. And you know the difference that he made in the technological world. Steven Spielberg got rejected twice from the USC film school. When he became so famous, they asked him to come back. They gave him an honorary degree, and he sat on their board of trustees. Milton Hershey, you know, Hershey's Kisses, Hershey Chocolate, his first 2 chocolate companies went bankrupt. His third one is not only a huge success, but he started the Milton Hershey School for Kids at Risk and does all kinds of philanthropic work. You know the Leaning Tower of Pisa? It was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to be tilted, but it had structural integrity. And they say if it had been made the way it was supposed to, millions of people wouldn't be going there every year to visit it. The mistake sometimes gives us a blessing and gives us things we don't even realize how good it is. Mark Cuban, I was reading an article about him. He said, "I have been an idiot and made more mistakes than anyone, but I learned from every one of them." He credits learning and getting the lesson and message out of every failure as to why he is the great success an entrepreneur. Anybody heard of Elizabeth Blackwell? Anybody? Elizabeth Blackwell got turned down from 29 medical schools. 29. The 30th one she got in, but only accidentally. And there was actually a vote where she got in. She got a lot of negativity from the men around her, the male doctors, but she went on to be the first U.S. woman in 1849 to become a doctor. And because of her struggles, decided to persevere and built a college, a medical college for women only. Failure is there to help us if we let it, if we are willing to learn from whatever is going on. The final thing about learning that I like, it empowers us. That when life goes wrong and saying, why me, poor me, being a victim, learning says, I will take charge of this. That I'm responsible, I will make it better. We empower our lives by being willing to be a lifelong learner, a committed learner that will get the most out of whatever seems to not go well. Number 4, lessons are repeated until they are learned. A lesson will be presented to you in various forms until you learn it. And it's only when you've learned it that you can go on to the next lesson. Anybody ever said something like, why is this happening to me again? You ever felt like you keep dating the same person, or you say the same kind of boss that's a bit of a not so nice person? You know, anybody ever feel like you're repeating certain patterns over like Groundhog Day? Things are just being repeated. Well, here's the deal. The universe loves you so much. Even when you run from one that's yours, it'll bring it back again and again. So it's good to not run away from the problems or the challenges. And I always find the biggest ones I want to run from usually have the biggest gifts and breakthrough for me if I don't run from it. You know, life will keep repeating lessons until you allow yourself to get the gift and the blessing. And it's a gift and blessing. Catherine Ponder once said, it'll always be in your space until you face it with grace. And the fact is, we don't need to keep running. We need to welcome it and bless it and appreciate it. You know, the word sin means to miss the mark. The word repent means to rethink. So when we keep making mistakes or see patterns that aren't going well and the same frustrations and disappointments, we need to rethink. We need to have a deeper look and say, I am willing to learn from this. Even though I can't figure it out right now, I am willing to learn. I'm willing to see things in a way I haven't saw it before. I'm willing to allow this to lift me and expand me in a way so that I can move beyond it to something greater. And even say, God, what is it that I need to let go? What is it do I need to heal? What is it do I need to release? Because when you see the patterns, you know something isn't working, but you got to be willing to learn. Someone once said the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, but the willing to learn is a choice. And the question, are you willing to learn? Think of something in your life that isn't going as well as you'd like. And for that particular thing, are you willing to learn? Are you willing to see in a different way? And are you willing to let your soul elevate you, to transform you from this, to move on to express greater things in your life? Final one. Learning lessons does not end. There is no part of life that doesn't contain its lessons. If you're alive, that means there are still lessons to be learned. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I heard somebody once said, the only thing I don't like about life is that it's just so daily. And living is so daily. Learning is daily. But you know what? That's what keeps us alive. Einstein said that when you're learning, the mind can never get exhausted. Because the creativity and the looking at different possibilities and trying to pray or open a space for a solution to come through makes us feel more alive. It makes us feel more engaged and excited. Without learning, life would be dull and flat and boring and empty. So we need to give thanks for the lessons. We need to give thanks for the opportunities in relationship or work or wherever it is that we're feeling like our buttons are being pressed. If we open up to a willingness and know this is why I'm feeling alive, this can help me feel more engaged in life, it's important. You know, Pavarotti had a thing, he said, you can read all you want about music and you can read about singing, but that's not how you learn. You have to get in there and actually do it. You can't read about how delicious ice cream tastes. You got to taste it. You can't read about how to swim. You got to jump in the pool. Pavarotti's quote was actually this. He said, learning music or singing by reading it is like trying to enjoy the pleasure of lovemaking through the mail. It didn't go that well at the first service either. But I learned. I'll never use it again after this one, because I'm committed to learning. So the fact is, everybody wants a better life, and sometimes we always want to get out there and do these great things, but I say let's get back to the basics. And the basics being, what is your relationship with your body? This is the temple of the living God. It's important to accept it, appreciate it, to love it, to care for it, to listen to it, and let it teach us and guide us how to live life more fully. Let's not waste time trying to change reality or reject or disown our body, but love this temple and let it be a more open channel to express God and to realize the way life works is through lessons. Being taught about relationships, being taught, look at the gift that you can get in it. Don't blame anybody or even yourself, but just make a commitment to learning. Don't resist the lessons of life, because if you resist the lessons, you resist living. And we're here to live life abundantly, not cautiously or tentatively. Life is calling everyone to express the fullness, and lessons and the message through our body is one of the keys. I want to wrap up with Mother Teresa, some words from her that capture this idea. She said, life is a game, play it. Life is an opportunity, take it. Life is beauty, admire it. Life is a dream, realize it. Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a struggle, accept it. Life is an adventure, dare it. Life is love, share it. Life is a song, sing it. Life is a gift, enjoy it. And these are the rules for being human. God bless you all.